Hello, my name is Harlan Dennis. The film you're about to watch features a young teen, Elizabeth, as she becomes consumed by a sexually abusive relationship with her teacher/coach. As Elizabeth shares her internal world with her dog Ziggy, we hope that you are able to recognize the conditioning process for abuse as it is directed towards you or someone that you know. This story may be painful and distressing. If you are in an abusive relationship or are in need of support, there are resources available at the end of the film along with on the Joshua Center webpage. This film is dedicated to all of those who have been or are at risk for being sexually abused. Thank you. Today was a long day. I'm so upset about the fight I had with Mom and Dad. I just feel like nobody gets it. I feel like they think I'm frustrated because Jackson gets more attention than me. They think I don't acknowledge how hard it must be navigating the world with a disability. Like, of course I know it's hard for him. I can't even imagine. But I have my own stuff going on, you know? Even when I try to explain it to them, they're always too busy taking calls or answering emails to listen. Like last week, Coach Kingsley made me team captain. Which basically means he thinks I'm the best on the team and he thinks people will listen to me. And as a sophomore too. It's a pretty big deal. He said I showed real promise and that even college scouts might come to my next games. Honestly, it's really cool. But when I told Dad, he didn't even acknowledge it. Do you think he thinks it's still weird that I'm this into sports as a girl? Like, when is he going to get over that one? And when I told Mom, all she could say was she thinks Coach Kingsley's a really good man. I guess she does book club with his wife, and she's always talking about how dedicated he is to the team. And I never saw the other girls on the team really be upset about it. Everyone wants Coach's validation. He's pretty tough on all of us. Plus, all the girls on the team talk about how cute he is in the locker room after practice. I think I'm his favorite, though. Also, it helps that he teaches my French class. We end up spending a lot more time together. Ziggy, today was such a good day. I have so much to tell you. I was talking to Coach Kinsley. He lets me call him Ben in our private training sessions now. Anyways, that's beside the point. I was talking to Ben, and he said that a scout emailed him that he might be able to watch my scrimmage next week. How crazy is that? And he even said that he could offer scholarships, which means I could play out of state. I think this is my way out, Ziggy. Without soccer, I would never be able to play out of state. Can't you just see me in New York, LA, with all the freedom in the world? God, I feel like I'm counting down the seconds till senior year. I was telling Coach Kingsley all this, and he thought it was really funny. He said he'd kill to be my age again. He even joked that women want to be my age and men want to be with women my age. Even though he was joking, I could tell he was upset. His glorious days were over or something. I guess we're just spending a lot more time together lately. Since he made me captain, a lot of the girls have been giving me the cold shoulder. Guess they're frustrated or jealous or something. I mean, I get it. I've never really had a solid group of friends. But Coach noticed and asked me if I wanted to have lunch with him in his classroom. Honestly, my days have been a lot better since going. He tells me about soccer stuff and how to get caught up on French. Plus, he's a lot cuter than all the high school boys. I'm just kidding. And he's helping me figure out how to get in touch with scouts. And I think it's working. Just one of the coaches is coming to a scrimmage next weekend. I don't know. I feel like I've never really been noticed before. But between him and the scouts, and you, of course, I feel like I'm finally being seen. Oh, and there's a guy, Brandon. We met in class and we've been sitting together all week. He's so cool. Like, I've never met someone that makes me laugh like this. And I was wearing a braid yesterday, and he told me I looked pretty. Ziggy, I almost fell out of my chair. Oh wait, I think he Snapchatted me. Look, isn't he cute? But there's a catch. Coach saw me talking to him and asked me about it during lunch. I played it down and said we were just friends, but he gave me this whole long lecture about how guys my age are too immature for me. And if I really want a big scholarship, I shouldn't waste my time on high school boys who don't really know what they're doing. I really like Brandon, but I guess he's right. Coach is just giving me such a big opportunity, and I don't want to blow it. When I was leaving his classroom, he put his hand on my leg and told me he just wants to see me succeed. You know, that he is so much invested in me. The hand kind of made me uncomfortable. And he left it there for a while, but I think I'm just not used to someone caring as much as he does. Plus, Mom did say that his wife's always talking about how devoted he is to his players. Honestly, I think it's okay. It's nice to have someone who cares about me as much as he does. Someone who's on my side. He did say something about having the teachers shame him for special treatment. Coach says he feels sad for those teachers, that they don't invest enough time into their students, and that they should. Neither of us get why no one else sees what he sees in me, that no one else cares about my potential as much as he does. I know for a fact that even though the teachers are telling him it's unfair to show students that much attention, he still gets excellent teacher award every year at assembly. He's everyone's favorite. Well, Ziggy, I'll keep you updated on the whole Brandon situation, but I gotta go work out before our scrimmage. So remember that scout? Well, he came to my scrimmage last week. And I think I played the worst game of my entire life. Like, truly, Ziggy, I don't think I've ever played worse. The scout didn't even stay till halftime. I swear I started crying the second I stepped off the field. Coach didn't make a big deal about it, though. He just dismissed the other girls and pretended not to notice. But after all the girls left to go change, I was sitting on the bleachers, taking off my shin guards or whatever, and he came over and gave me a hug. A really long hug. And maybe it was weird, but it was exactly what I needed, you know? He just didn't want to hug me around the other girls because he knew that they would make fun of me for getting special treatment. Made me feel a lot better, though. He just said that I need to work a lot harder and train a lot more, and he promised to even work with me every single day until I got better and scouts started to notice me more, or maybe even I got a scholarship. When I got home that night, I tried to tell Mom and Dad how disappointed I was, but when I said something to Mom, all she said was, "Soccer's all you do. What do you mean you didn't play well?" When I tried to tell Dad, he just got mad at me for trying to talk to Mom while she was talking to Jackson. I decided right then and there that I'm never talking to them about soccer again, or anything else for that matter. Still upset about it. Anyways, I feel like the scrimmage was a real sign that I need to get focused. Well, Brandon asked me to homecoming, but I had to say no. He was bummed and I was bummed too, but I told him I really need to start focusing on myself in soccer. He understood. So he took another girl on the team, Hannah. I know I have no right to be mad, but when she was talking in the locker room about how fun homecoming was with Brandon, I literally had to leave. Ben could tell I was upset at practice and asked me what happened, so I told him about how Brandon asked me and I had to say no, and he asked Hannah instead. but he put his arm around me and told me that I made the right choice. He said that I should be thinking about myself right now. Honestly, it made me feel a lot better. But I don't know how to describe it. Ziggy, things started to change. Like, last week I was in his office, and we were talking about soccer and French and stuff, but he seemed kind of upset, so I asked him what was wrong. And then he started telling me everything that was going on in his life. Like, important things. Things my parents don't even talk to me about. He was talking about how when he got married, he was really trying to pursue a career in soccer, and his wife was trying to get her master's. But he had to sacrifice a lot of things for her, so he started to build, like, resentment towards her. He honestly said that he used to have sex with her at least once a week. And now he's not even attracted to her. That's when things got kind of weird. Like, a conversation has never made me feel so young and so old at the same time. Like, obviously things I'm mature enough to handle it, right? But I don't know much about sex, so I didn't feel like there was a lot of advice I could give him. It sort of feels like I'm his confidant, you know? Like a friend. I don't know. I guess if I had these sorts of things going on in my life, I'd probably tell him. I guess I already have. Come here, Ziggy. When I started telling him about my family things after he told me, I was talking about how hard it's been at home and how with Jackson it's really hard to feel like I'm seen or heard. I feel like my mom never listens to me and my dad just doesn't care. But he was really comforting about it. He said all the right things. And I don't know, this sounds kind of crazy, but it almost felt like intimate, Ziggy. Like at the end of the conversation, he put his hand on my cheek and said, "I see you, Liz." And it almost got like butterflies in my stomach. God, I'm glad you can't tell anyone any of this. It sort of feels like when we're together, nothing else is around. It makes me feel special. Sometimes things feel kind of weird. Like when I was leaving, he gave me a hug, but he put his hands really low on my back. And it felt wrong that I was in his office. And suddenly it felt wrong that the door was locked. And it felt wrong that he was telling me these things about his wife. I don't know. Maybe I'm just confused. Maybe I'm just being oversensitive, Ziggy. He has the power to change my entire career in soccer, to get me out of the state. Maybe I'm just being crazy. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe this is how mentors are. He's giving me all these opportunities. I just don't want to blow it. Okay, Ziggy. I feel like I should go to bed. I'm going to text Coach I can't do drills. I'm too tired today.
Ziggy, I worry you're going to be so mad when I tell you what's happened. After we talked, what was that, a month ago? Well, for a while, things were pretty quiet, after I talked to you about not knowing how I felt. But then Mom and Dad sat me down and said that I'd been spending way too much time with Ben and doing drills, and I accidentally let it slip, and Ben's been helping me with soccer and school stuff during lunch and after practice. They were pretty mad about that. They said, "You have an A in French class. That's your best class. What are you doing spending all that time studying French when your other grades are not as good? Those are the classes you should be focusing on." They told me to take a break from spending so much time with him, and I understood what they meant. I get that they might just want what's the best for me. When I was talking to them, I accidentally called him Ben. Mom and Dad asks if everyone calls him Ben, and I don't know why, but I lied and said yes. I could tell they didn't know what to think. So at first, I listened to them. I stopped going to his office during lunch. I stopped responding when he would text me drills. I just tried to distance myself a bit. This didn't last long, though. He called me into his office after practice and asked why I'd been so distant. He asked why my heart still wasn't in the game, with soccer, of course. and whether the scholarship was something I really wanted. He even implied that he didn't know if I was ready for it anymore. I told him about how Mom and Dad asked me to focus on other things, how they said that I was spending too much time with them on soccer, and that my life would get really small. Ben said his parents used to say the same thing to him, and maybe if he hadn't listened to them, he would have had a soccer career, and he would have been good enough. He said my parents reminded him of his, and said, in the end, they were actually the ones holding him back. I could tell that he meant that when he said it. I could just see it in his eyes, that he was being honest. He said he might be best for everyone involved if we just go back to regular routine and just keep it between us. He said other people don't know what it's like to have a drive like we do, that we are different and other people just wouldn't understand. I understood. Everything he said makes sense. It still does. There's a reason everyone loves him. He's always right. So, I guess that's when I kind of started lying every day after school. Since then, I've been in his office every day for lunch. At first, a lot of the time we talk about soccer and French, but now we talk about all sorts of things. We talk about my dreams and ambitions. He still talks about his marriage. Ziggy, he talks about wanting out of it. We talked about trips we want to take. And he said if my parents didn't support me playing soccer in college, he would go with me on my college tours. He made it seem like that's something a lot of coaches do. I've never heard of that, but of course he has a lot more experience in these things. As we started talking more about our lives and our futures and things that we admired about each other, and somewhere along the way we've, developed feelings for each other. Feelings might even be an understatement. I don't really know when things changed, but they did. Everything changed. It feels like he's my whole world, and not just because of soccer and school and French. I feel listened to, Ziggy. He tells me how I'm beautiful and smart and strong. You know what I think? I think it's the first time I've ever felt listened to. His name's for me. He calls me mon chéri, which is French for my darling. And he texts me in the morning saying he can't wait to see me. It's like this secret, and it's just ours, and sometimes it makes me nervous, like when Mom and Dad ask me where I've been or where I'm going. I have to come up with a lie. And I told Ben this, and he said that sometimes he feels the same way, but that this is the most alive he's felt in years. There are these moments after practice when it's just the two of us, and I forget he's way older than me. I forget that I'm a student. It's funny how that can happen. And then about a week and a half ago, we were at practice, and we were doing a huddle. It was after a really long drill, and he was talking to all of us when he put his arm around me, Ziggy. And I immediately got so uncomfortable. I wasn't expecting him to do that. We were in public, and the whole team was watching. And then he didn't seem nervous at all. And he even went as far as putting his arm around another girl on the team on the other side of him. At first, I could tell people were weirded out when his arm was just around me, but I think the other girl being there helped. To be honest, it made me kind of jealous seeing his arm around another girl. It was weird. I'm not used to being jealous or feeling jealous, but I guess he used to use his hands to show us different drills and correct our positions all the time. I mean, that's what coaches do. Maybe I'm just overreacting. Wait, he just texted me.
I feel so conflicted. I feel like I'm in so deep, Ziggy. You're the only one I can turn to right now. I don't know. I guess I should start about 3 weeks ago. I was feeling pretty smitten with Ben. Well, I guess I still am. I don't know, it's confusing. Don't get me wrong, I love spending time with him. And I don't know. Like I said, I guess we're just spending a lot more time together. He even started driving me home after practice when Mom's work schedule changed. It was so weird, though. When he started driving me home, he would, announce it on the field in front of all the girls. He would say, "All right, Liz, hop in the car." It kind of made me uncomfortable, so I asked him why he was so comfortable with it. He said no one would suspect anything if it was so public. It made sense. Then a week ago, Ben told me to lie and text my parents that practice was running late, so I'd be home later. So of course I did. Then he wanted to tell me that Mr. Stanley, one of his good teacher friends, has been noticing that I've been in his office all the time and asked him about it. He said he covered for me, of course, that I just need him for emotional support, he said. You know teenage girls. They're always crying about something. I'm kind of upset he made me seem so young to Mr. Stanley, but I guess if it gets him off our back, then I can't complain, right? But right after that, he told me he had a surprise for me. He said he knows how paranoid and anxious I've been about our relationship, and he wanted to give me something. Look, it's a bracelet with a K on it. He said he was going to do B, but he didn't want everyone to suspect. It's beautiful, Ziggy. K for Kinsley. No one's ever gotten me anything this nice. Not even Mom and Dad. He put the bracelet on me and we kissed. And then he told me he wanted to take our relationship to the next steps. I didn't really know what he meant. He was so vague in the way he said it. And then when it was clear I wasn't following, he just blurted it out. Sex. I was so overwhelmed in the moment, I didn't even know what to say. So, he just told me he loved me again and that we'd be together forever. And nothing would change that. He just said it was a special level of intimacy and that I wouldn't understand until I did it. Until I did it. The thing is, Ziggy, I really do love him. He cares about me so much, and I trust him. So we did it. It was romantic, even though it was in his back seat. But Ziggy, it hurt so bad. I almost cried. But Ben told me I was safe with him. And it'd be our little secret forever. We've done it 3 more times since. But it still hurts. And he said that's supposed to happen. But it just doesn't feel good, you know? And every time it feels intimate in the moment. Then afterwards I just feel terrible. I'm just so confused. I should have known things would get like this. I should have known better. I don't know what I was thinking, Ziggy. Things have gotten so out of control. Maybe this feeling is depression. But it's worse than anything I've ever felt before. I feel like things are moving so fast. Too fast. I feel so suffocated and I don't know what to do about it. Things were going well after Ben and I started having sex again. It stopped hurting and sometimes I'd even feel sexy. The more I convinced myself that things were normal, the more controlling he became. When I was with him, I used to feel my happiest, and then away from him, I was sad. But now I'm so anxious around him. It's like whenever I go, he always needs to know what I'm doing, who I'm texting, how I'm feeling. I feel like I'm not even my own person anymore. Earlier this week, he asked me to come to his office during one of my classes. I told him I was in class, and he said to make up an excuse, so I lied to my teacher and told him I wasn't feeling well. And I went to Ben's office and walked inside, and he shut the door behind me and locked it. And then we had sex. He didn't even look at me, Ziggy. When we were done, I just left. He didn't say anything except for get back to class. I never felt like that before. Like our relationship had changed, like he didn't care for me as much as he used to. It made me question what our relationship meant to him. Later that day, Ben saw me talking to a boy, the boy who asked me to homecoming, the one I kind of liked earlier in the year. He called me about it, and I didn't pick up, so he left me a voicemail. Ziggy was basically screaming into the phone. He was so mad. He said things like, everyone was watching, and people are going to think I'm a slut. He told me I had no respect for myself, and that I should be embarrassed, and that he probably only wants me for sex anyways. I walked around school for the next 3 hours with the biggest pit in my stomach. And then after school, I skipped soccer practice for the first time all year. I just went home and I didn't tell anyone. When I got home, I just cried. I've been doing that a lot lately. Crying in my room by myself. It's just so suffocating, Ziggy. Is love supposed to feel like this? Is it supposed to feel this controlling? I just don't know what to do. Later that night, Ben texted me to look outside. So I looked out my window and he was parked about a block down the street. I texted him that I didn't go to practice because I just wasn't feeling well, and he said he just wanted to talk to me. So I went outside and made sure to be really quiet so Mom and Dad didn't know. When I got in the car, I just started crying. I told him how bad it felt in the office earlier, and he said he didn't understand why I could feel upset. That of course he cares about me, and that of course he's not using me just for sex, but it honestly didn't make me feel a lot better. He said he was sorry for the voicemail, and that he just cares about me so much and gets worried, I guess. I was relieved at first, but then I just felt guilt and shame and embarrassment, and I got anxious, like I had been before, that my mom would see I was outside, or someone would know I was in the car with him, or my dad would find out. And then after the anxiety, all I felt was guilt for being mad at him. He's so much older than me and cooler than me, and even though he said it's not true, I know sex would keep him around for sure. So that's what we did. And then I left the car and went back to my room. I just cried. And I couldn't control it. That was all a couple days ago. Things have now gone back to our routine of him driving me home and grabbing things to eat. I hate the sex, though. I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it anymore. And I've been having these nightmares. These terrors. I wake up in cold sweats. Visions of, like, Mom and Dad finding out that we're together, or someone walking in on us, or the vice principal finding out. Because of this, I feel like my grades are slipping, Ziggy, and the worst part is, I dread the thing I love most. Soccer. Ziggy, I don't know how much more I can do of this. I don't know how much more I can handle. It's only gotten worse since the last time we talked. I feel like Ben has a new reason to be mad at me every day. Yesterday it was because I didn't wear his bracelet he bought for me. The day before it was because I asked him how things were going with his wife. Maybe he gets mad out of guilt or shame or something. I don't know. I know I'm feeling all those things right now. We've been having sex for a couple of months now. And now it just feels like I'm an object to him. He doesn't even look at me. He doesn't talk to me. We don't talk about it. He doesn't even make me feel special anymore. But when I ask him about it, he tells me how beautiful he thinks I am, how much he loves me. But I don't feel it, you know? It makes me feel empty. Last week, he said his wife found texts between the two of us on his phone. He played it off apparently and said they were just about friendship and soccer and stuff, but he doesn't think she believed him. I just feel like I'm ruining so many lives, you know? I feel like I'm ruining my own life. Yesterday, the vice principal came up to me and said that I should leave Mr. Kingsley alone. He said that students and teachers have been talking and that I shouldn't misinterpret his kindness. I made him think I had no idea what he was talking about and that what he was saying made me uncomfortable. I think he believed me. God, I feel like everything that comes out of my mouth is a lie, Ziggy. Before Ben, I never used to lie. Now I feel like it's all I do, you know? But after the vice principal came up to me, I guess I felt kind of relieved. Because then I had an excuse to not hang out with him as much, and I had an excuse to ask him to not drive me home. I thought it would help me not be around him as much, but I guess it's not working. He texts me incessantly about where I'm going, what I'm doing, how I'm feeling. It's just so suffocating. I told him the relationship has to end. But he cried, Ziggy. He just sat there and cried. He told me he couldn't live without me. So, here I am. Mom asked why I hadn't been seeing him so much lately and why I'd been skipping practice and being so quiet. She asked if I was getting lazy. In that moment, I was so hurt, I just wanted to tell her everything, the whole truth. But I just know she wouldn't believe me, you know? No one would believe me. Because nobody knows him like I do. Summer is so soon. And usually I'd be ecstatic. I'd be so relieved. Time to meet new people and hang out outside. But Ben wants me to go to soccer camp. For a whole month. Just with him. I feel like things can't possibly get worse. But I'm terrified. I feel so scared. And I feel like I have to tell someone. I'm going to tell someone.